Welcome to In Focus with Eden Lane.
This week we go behind the scenes with Colorado Ballet as they bring us a new production of Peter Pan from Milwaukee Ballet. It's the same creative team that brought Dracula to Colorado Ballet. We join them for the first day of flying rehearsals at the studio loft at the Ellie Calkins. This is a regional premiere. It's a Peter Pan with altitude at Colorado Ballet. We'll visit with some of the cast and with Colorado Ballet Artistic Director Gil Boggs. But we begin tonight with Milwaukee Ballet's Artistic Director and Choreographer of this original production of Peter Pan, Michael Pink. Michael, welcome back to Colorado on the occasion of Colorado Ballet's mounting your original interpretation of Peter Pan. Thank you so much for making time for us today.
My pleasure, Eden, as always.
So tell me, how did this even begin? Where did you get the idea to mount Peter Pan as an original ballet?
Peter Pan has certainly been done before as a ballet, as indeed a theatre work and a film, but I wanted to do something very special with the composer Philip Feeney, who was the original composer for Dracula. And together we wanted to really make something that would be theatrical, very theatrical, would have a tailor-made musical score, and would really explore the exciting adventures of Peter Pan. Now, we all know Peter Pan, we all know Tinkerbell, we all know Captain Hook, we know all the characters, so we knew that our audience would come to the theatre well prepared, well ready to see this story. What we wanted to do was take them to yet another level of this story, and certainly with the music, with the flying, the incredibly complex flying, the scenery, the way in which the scenery moves, I wanted to create scenery that would just evolve and turn, and a little bit like a child's toy, one of those transformer toys. If you give it a twist and pull something, you could suddenly be anywhere. So that was the real objective, was to make something that was very, very imaginative, and we would be able to tell the story in a way that had never been told before in ballet. And I have to say, from the audience response, we had 6 sold-out performances in Milwaukee for its premiere. I think we achieved our goal.
In those little glimpses we've been given of your company's performance of this ballet, I can't wait for it to be here. I'm so thrilled to be able to see it in its entirety.
I'm excited to bring it to Colorado because when we brought Dracula here, little did we know it would become such a popular ballet. So Denver has become a place that I've visited many times. I feel like I've grown with this company over the 12 years. I know a lot of the dancers. I now know a lot of the dancers' family and children. And so we really have a good, I feel we have a good connection here. I'm so thrilled that Gil Boggs, the director of the company, was prepared to take the risk, because there's always a risk in bringing something to town. It's not an extremely expensive production, but like everything, there are costs with flying and special effects that we would not normally associate with ballet. So he's taken a great risk, and I applaud him, and I sincerely hope it operates and has the same response as Dracula.
Did they reproduce the set pieces, or did they bring in the set pieces that you use at your company?
When we made this production originally, one of the major things we wanted to do was to produce a production at a fraction of the perceived cost. Normally with opera and ballet, people see these big, huge financial amounts. I was saying, no, this is a children's ballet. We need to use our imagination. So we built a production for a very modest amount of money. That same production of sets and elaborate costumes by Jordana Lynn and Rick Graham, the designer, are here in Denver. We brought them here. We brought the same flying company, ZFX, who are wonderful masters of their art, and we're all here, and we're all, as we speak, they're upstairs in the studio flying and learning how to fly, and the dancers are having a wonderful, wonderful time.
So since everyone is so familiar with the characters and the story of Peter Pan, how are you able to tell it anew? How are you able to make it fresh?
I wanted to plug into some of those emotional triggers that are really very important. I wanted to ask questions that of Peter Pan. Why is he Peter Pan? What does he crave? What is he missing? And as I looked through all of the characters, I realized there was one presiding objective. Everybody wanted a mother. Captain Hook wanted a mother, Peter wanted a mother. We already had the children and their mother, and the whole thing of growing up, what it takes to grow up. And I wanted in the production to try and show you the Wendy darling as a child maturing into a young woman. And I felt I could do that through dance and through the fact that when she goes to Neverland, she begins to do all the same movements that her mother was doing in their nursery. And so that was an interesting journey to see, could we do this without speaking a single word? Could we bring Tinkerbell back to life without saying a single word? And the answer is yes, we can, because we use the audience, we use their imagination, and we involve them. We give the children a special magic tool. When they come to the theatre, they get a fairy fixer. And they get to take that away with them. But this magic fairy fixer, if used at the right time, will bring Tinkerbell back to life. You cannot imagine the emotional impact of seeing the full theatre helping us, without speaking a word, bring Tinkerbell back to life. It's extremely powerful.
You've created a work and a world in which the entire audience gets to be part of your ballet.
Absolutely. Peter Pan is traditionally about the audience being involved. We wanted to make sure that they really are. And the whole feeling, when those children return back to the nursery, what it must feel like to be a parent, to have your children have disappeared. They've lost, they've gone out into the night, you don't know where they are, will they ever come back? I wanted something that would really harness that moment of when they come back. And with the magic of Philip Feeney's music, I have to say, every time I watch it, every time I see it in rehearsal, it just connects emotionally. And we know that when people come to the live theatre and they leave with an emotional reaction, they'll remember that. It will have a very powerful impact on their life, and it will bring them back again.
And it's different every single time because the audience is different and what they bring is different. What is different about mounting this ballet on a new company, since it's only been done on your own company and this is your first time bringing it elsewhere? What is that like? What's different about it?
It's always very exciting when you've created a piece and then you get to recreate it or restage it with another company. And I have to tell you that of the 2 years that we were in production for this production, making the scenery, writing the music, preparing everything, I had a modest 5 weeks to actually physically create it with the artist, with all the flying, with everything. So invariably there were a lot of things that I just wished I'd had more time to do. So the opportunity of bringing it back here is I've got a long to-do list, and I've been able to tick off quite a few of those to-do things and see if I can make them, improve them. So I love the fact that it's always evolving, and it means that these artists feel like this is their version of this production. And then when I take it back to my company in May of this year, I guess it will get to version 3 as well. It will continue to evolve, which is wonderful.
And that sort of sets up a relationship with Dracula and now Peter Pan of almost being sister companies in a way.
You're absolutely right. I mean, I love the idea of saying that my company feels exactly the same as this company, feels exactly the same as Atlanta Ballet, where I also enjoy a wonderful relationship. And they do feel like home. When I go there, it feels like home. Everybody is so generous, so warm, yourself included. People are so interested in what we're doing, and it's such a joy to be able to share that through you to our audience and say, please come and see Peter Pan. You may think you've seen it, you know all about it, but I challenge you to come and see this production, and I guarantee you a wonderful evening in the theatre, like perhaps one you've never had before.
I know everyone I've spoken to about Peter Pan coming to Colorado Ballet is thrilled, because when I explain that it's brand new music they've never heard before, brand new choreography, sets, costumes, it's a big thrill. Mm-hmm. It's something they have never been able to experience before. And I love that you talked about part of your inspiration was the take of everyone wanting a mother. Mm-hmm. Is this a production that was inspired in any way, or are there any hints of your relationship with your mother in this relationship?
Well, you know, strangely enough, no, that's the first time I've been asked that question. And no, I think it's probably more to do with having young children and the whole thing of not wanting to grow up. I mean, I'm of an age where I just don't want to, I want to stop now. I want to start going backwards. I love the fact that through my art form, I'm able to recapture my youth. And there are so many opportunities in this ballet when we look at the moments when people, the characters, recapture their youth. The perfect one is the father. Here is a father with young children wanting to be a success, be serious, be grown up, and through his endeavors to do that, he inadvertently takes Nana out of the nursery and thereby allowing Peter to come in and take the children to Neverland. He feels totally responsible for that. So the moment when they return, he realizes that he can be a success, but he doesn't have to do that at the expense of his imagination and his youth. And he recaptures his youth and once again becomes like his children, and you see him happy and fulfilled, and that's wonderful. So I think there's very strong messages about let's never ever lose connection to our youth and to our youthful imagination.
I love that. I love that. Not only is it for the characters' relationships to wanting a mother, but that description of fatherhood and recapturing your youth through your children. I think that many audience members will be able to identify that. I can't wait to share it with them. Thank you for taking time as you're rehearsing your first day of flying to tell us about Peter Pan.
It's my pleasure, Eden, thank you. And I look forward to you receiving all the accolades that I won't, because I won't be here. I'll be gone, but you, please.
We'll tell you all
Tell
about
me
them.
all about it.
As the company begins the first flying rehearsal, we get more information from Colorado Ballet's artistic director, Gil Boggs. Well, we just had a conversation with Michael Pink, the choreographer of this ballet, and just as you led us to believe, not only is he charming, but we're so eager to see this ballet. When you talked about it in the fall, I think we knew it was an original piece with original music, but I don't think it really has set in with everyone that this is a regional premiere of this ballet.
Not until we've gotten into the theater, started the flying now, the orchestra is starting to put it together, the music director working on the score, and you met Michael. He's just charming and he's brilliant. And I saw this in Milwaukee and I was so excited to bring it to Denver, and I know how the audience is going to react, and they're going to love it.
We know it's a children's story, it's a children's ballet, but from hearing Michael talk about it and seeing the clips that we've seen, I think it's so much more than that. So you tell me, how do you describe this Peter Pan?
There's a child in all of us, absolutely, and it's for everyone. The parents, when I saw this production in Milwaukee, there's a moment at the end of the second act that it's rather heartwarming, let's say, and the adults were crying more than the kids. They were enjoying it so much, and yes, I did do this for the children of Denver because they will absolutely eat it up.
But for people who love and appreciate dance, the choreography is not at all watered down or simplified. It's still a real ballet.
It's still a real ballet, and there's a lot of exciting dancing that goes into it, along with the flying. Our dancers are very good at dancing. At flying, they're getting better each day. We just started yesterday, so they have a few weeks. They have about 3 weeks of working on the flying, so that should tell you.
And they were learning how to be in the rigging, but today they're in a space with enough volume for the first time to truly fly.
Exactly. Fortunately, the alley has this 4th floor studio loft that we're able to be in and rig up the apparatus for flying the dancers, and it's about 10 feet lower than it's going to be on the stage. So we'll have another week on the stage to sort of adjust to that height, but we should be in a good place.
What does it mean to Colorado Ballet to continue? In your 51st year, you're not resting on a reputation. You're continuing to do new things. You did your season opener this year. You switched it up with Swan Lake instead of the new works. Now you're doing a regional premiere of a brand new score, choreography, costumes, design. What does it mean to Colorado Ballet to reach that way?
Any time in this business that you can bring in a brand new production, a full-length production, which is not the cheapest thing in the world for a dance company to do, but to be able to bring that in and know that your audience is going to enjoy it, that pushes the company, it pushes our dancers, it's new things for them. And that's sort of the mantra around here, is to keep pushing them as artists so that they continue to grow and the company just evolves better and better each day.
We're able to join the company for the first flying rehearsal held at the studio loft at the Alley Calkins. The company gets instruction from the team at ZFX Flying Effects, who designed the rigging used in this production of Peter Pan. During one of the early breaks in rehearsals, we had a chance to meet with some of the cast. We begin with Peter Pan himself, Adam Still. Well, how exciting that it's your first day of flying rehearsal for this production of Peter Pan. How does it feel?
It's exciting. It's incredibly exciting. Yeah, it's every kid's dream, I think, to fly at some point, whether in your dreams or, you try to, jumping off your bed, but it's pretty great. Yeah.
Beyond exciting, how does it feel? Because you've spent a good number of minutes in that
it's really
already.
Disconcerting at first because it's the harness is really tight and it kind of conforms your body in a weird way, but you get used to it. It's kind of little few bruises last night when you get home, but overall, it gets. I think it's going to get easier.
Most of the choreography is not in your harness, but that's
No.
going to be one of the highlights of it.
Yeah, so it's actually a pretty good mix. Peter flies a lot, and the family flies quite a bit. But one of the hardest parts we're starting to figure out is that you leave the harness on for the whole first act, so it's kind of doing all the ballet steps with this kind of, it's not bulky, but it's certainly there, and you notice it. So
And it changes your
yeah,
carriage, your
yeah. So
port de bras.
it's kind of you have to adjust a little bit. So that's going to be a lot of experimenting this week, trying to figure out it's a lot of transitions. I think that's what the tricky part's going to be. So
Is this your first principal role?
I'd say principal, yes. I've done other smaller soloist parts, but as far as being a true lead, yeah, this is kind of a coming of age, I guess. So playing a little boy is coming of age. It's kind of
I love
ironic
that.
a little bit, right? But
So how did you find out you got cast as Peter?
just casting. You get sent the rehearsal schedule, and you're Peter Pan and Tinkerbell, and you see your name still on the schedule, and it's exciting. It's very exciting. So.
Now we should say that all of this activity that's going on in the room while the company is dismissed from rehearsal right now is all really for your safety and the other characters who are flying for your safety.
Yeah.
What does that feel like, knowing that element of risk in your performance for Peter Pan?
You just it's there at first. You kind of have those panic moments, but that's what's so great about having the dancers be the one that are pulling you, and the dancers are doing all the flying basically. There's people on the side that are assisting if they need help, but so that relationship, since we're all pretty close here anyway, and I think there's a pretty good sense of overall trust. So I mean, you just kind of have to trust your friends. That's something usually it's a little bit easier to do than people you don't know. So
Well, I know it's going to be a really successful production, and I know you are all going to have so much time. I can't wait to see it. Thanks for letting us sneak into your first flying rehearsal.
Thanks so much for having me.
Of course, like many ballets, Peter Pan has its own fairy. Next, we meet Tinkerbell, played by Sharon Weiner. How is it different from playing Tinkerbell as a fairy from any of the other fairies you get to play in other ballets?
Well, I think this fairy is probably the most fairy-like because she's really mischievous and sassy and, not so pretty and balletic as the Sugar Plum Fairy would be, or, some of the fairies in Sleeping Beauty are really just ballerinas in tutus with wings.
Mm-hmm.
So
You get to be a real imp.
yes, exactly, exactly.
How was it going about finding her with this movement vocabulary, since it's an original piece?
Actually, it's in the movement. I mean, I don't really have to. I don't have to think too much about it, to tell you the truth, because Michael, he choreographs very much in character. So all of the movement is exactly tells the story. I don't have to act, so to speak. I just have to do the movement and be in character, and it should read.
But one of the most important parts of your character is that all these little girls who come to see this ballet, even if they've never been to a ballet before, like with many of the other roles you've danced, you're the character that they know the best and will want to be. What does that feel like to you as a dancer, to know that all those little girls are so inspired by the work you're doing?
Well, I think they might be surprised that this Tinkerbell is quite true to the book, actually, in that can be a little nasty. So she's not, and she's certainly magical and light and bright, but there's a side of her that is maybe not so attractive. So that will be fun to do, and I think anyways little girls will have fun with that character too.
Well, I know that they're in the midst of the flying and moving the set pieces, and I know that they're going to be calling you for just a minute, so it's really delightful to have a minute to steal from rehearsal with you to find out about your Tinkerbell. Thank you.
Thank you.
Another leading character in Peter Pan is Wendy Darling, this time played by Shelby Dyer. Well, Shelby, today is the first flying day for all of the characters in Peter Pan who fly. And how was that flying today?
Oh, it's so fun. I'm glad that I'm not scared of heights. But yeah, it's really fun, and we
And
have
in
a
rehearsal, there's another 10 feet more of
Yes.
height on the stage.
On stage, it'll be another 10 feet, so we're not even going as high as we will be going in 2 weeks. We'll start that.
And Wendy flies quite a bit.
Oh, yeah.
Almost as much as Peter, right?
Oh yeah, almost as much.
What is that like for you how does it change your carriage in the way you normally would be when you're dancing to having to fight your harness?
Yeah, it's really different. It actually changes your center of gravity because we're attached on like the center of our back.
Which is easier for the men because their center of gravity is higher, but yours
Oh
is
yeah,
lower.
I didn't even think about that.
Yeah.
But yeah, so it changes that, and we have to kind of lean back and hold our shoulders back since we're supported down here. Otherwise, we'll tip forward and be just facing the ground, which wouldn't look that good.
In lots of classical narrative ballet, we see very, very definite female types. Do you think Wendy is different or similar to the other kinds of roles you get to dance?
Well, Michael Pink's stuff is usually very different. It's a lot more acting and character role playing, so it's a lot different than like a classical ballet, because in classical ballet we just use gestures and kind of set movements that have been set like over a long period of time that are very rigid and strict and structured. And in Michael Pink's ballets, it's great. It's more freedom and more like really acting from inside more than just showing with your arms or your hands. Or it's more subtle, and I think it's really exciting to have a chance to do something like this.
In many ways, it's more demanding
Yes.
as an actor.
It's actually harder because they don't say just do this and do that and you just do the movement. It's actually harder. You have to find another kind of emotion and another way to portray it through acting.
And this is the regional premiere of this production.
Yes.
And you're the first Wendy.
It's very exciting. I'm very excited about it.
Well, congratulations on
Thank
being
you.
cast as Wendy. I can't wait for your opening. I was already excited before we got here today, but just this little visit that we've had,
Yeah.
I know it's going to be so much fun.
Yeah, I'm very excited. I can't wait to open.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Before we go, we return to Gil Boggs to get a look ahead at the rest of the season for Colorado Ballet. How do you describe where you're at in the middle of the season right now? Because you've changed up how you're programming the season this year, how would you describe the state of your season?
Well, obviously we opened up. We did do the performance in Vail at the International Festival, and that went very well for us. Our dancers were
We
on
had a
stage.
great time being there and
Yes.
seeing the emotional impact.
It was
of
very
returning to
emotional
the
for
world
us. We were on the
stage.
stage with some of the greatest dancers in the world, and as I have said all season long, our dancers didn't flinch. They just were brilliant. And we did Swan Lake, and it just couldn't have come off better. I love that production, and it was nice to do on the heels of the movie, obviously, because it sort of lets you know what the real Black Swan is, and that was nice. And of course, Nutcracker, we always have fun with that. 26 performances, and I think a lot of people in Denver do come and see that, and a great family tradition. Peter Pan is a little bit different for us because there's a lot of theatrics in it. There is dancing, beautiful dancing, but not as much as in a full-length Swan Lake. So you have the flying and you're trying to tell the story. You have the alligator in the orchestra pit. There's a lot of fun to it. So it's something new and different for our dancers, which is great. We end the season with Tribute, which is just 3 world premieres, 3 women choreographers in tribute to our founders. And that's just pure dancing. Our dancers, it's what they do best. It's what they love.
And that's the contemporary side of your repertoire.
Exactly. We're a very fortunate company in that we can do a full-length Swan Lake, and we can also do 3 brand new contemporary works, and our dancers can adjust to both of those.
Can you believe your season is past its midpoint already?
I'm glad. It's a very intense 33 weeks that we are crammed into to get all this, and the pressure of getting this up, and I want Denver audiences to walk in and really appreciate this company. So I sweat that fact pretty hard, and we work very hard at it as a team.
It shows on the stage.
I think so.
For a company to last 50 years, obviously there's a standard in order to last that long, but not everyone comes out of that benchmark with engines full and reaching for new achievements and new artistic expression. And I so admire the Colorado Ballet for doing that.
Well, we're very fortunate with the dancers we have. We have some wonderful dancers, and they're the ones driving this boat. So
So what's coming after Tribute? Is there anything special over the summer?
Over the summer, we are going to be performing in New York City. This summer, June 2nd and 3rd, we'll be performing at the George Theater in New York, and we're so looking forward to that. Jody Gates came in and did a ballet for us, and she is being presented as a choreographer by the George Theater. And Jody said, I want Colorado Ballet to do the ballet that I'm doing for them on that stage in New York. So we're going to take 14 dancers to New York and perform that ballet, and I am treasuring this moment.
That sounds like a giant road trip for everyone who loves ballet and Colorado Ballet in particular to come to New York for a day or two.
It'd be great to have everybody in New York. You know, I think it speaks volumes. I hear so often, you know, when I first got here that, well, we don't really go to the ballet in Colorado. We like ballet in New York. And, you know, our company is that good now. I can sit here and say that and not flinch over that. We are a world-renowned company. And we can go to New York and perform, and we just bring it to Denver, and you'd be surprised if you came to see what you saw.
Well, I'm never surprised because I know what to expect when I come see Colorado Ballet, and I hope that you will, if you haven't yet this season, come and see Peter Pan at the Ella Calkins Opera House with Colorado Ballet. Just visit their webpage to get your tickets right away because it's only a few weekends and you don't want to miss it. This regional premiere with Colorado Ballet is Peter Pan with Altitude. Visit coloradoballet.org for tickets, running February 24th through March 4th.
That's all for this edition. Remember to join us on Facebook and Twitter. With all that Colorado has to offer, we're here to help you keep it in focus. Thanks for watching. Good night.